right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to September 15th, 2021 City Council meeting. In the interest of government transparency with regards to deliberations and decisions made by the City Council and according to open meeting law, since this meeting was posted as a Zoom meeting, this meeting is recorded by video and audio and will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the City Council during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. So if you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. And if you are watching on a computer or a device, there is a raise hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications or the public hearing to be recognized to speak. So I'm going to announce who is here this evening. In no particular order, I'm going to start in my upper left-hand corner and work my way down to my bottom right. In attendance tonight, we have our City Clerk, Joanne Sinos. We have myself, Councilor LeBlanc. We have Councilor Pett, Councilor Nolan, Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Gilman, Councilor Holmgren, Councilor Memhard, our Assistant Fire Chief, Robert Rivers, I'm sorry, Bob Riveras, Councilor O'Hara, and our City Assessor, Kenny Costa.
Auditor.
Auditor, yeah, I'm sorry. Trying to get everything in Bob's last name threw me off for a second there. All right, and so Madam Clerk, we have the next order of business, please.
First order of business is oral communications.
All right, so under oral communications, the public shall have the opportunity at every regularly scheduled meeting to be heard under oral communications on matters not appearing on the agenda. Oral communications shall be allowed any resident who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council, state their problem without debate, and the matter shall be referred to with the proper agency through the office of the mayor. The resident will be notified within a 2-week period relative to disposition of same, and a copy shall be forwarded to the city council. Persons speaking under oral communications shall be limited to 3 minutes each, and the council president shall not allow complaints as to individual performance. All right, we have 2 attendees. We have Brianna Comey and Greg Verga as attendees. If you would like to speak, raise your hand under oral communications. If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9. All right, going once, twice. All right, oral communications. Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
The next order of business is the consent agenda.
All right, are there any councilors that would like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Councilor Pett.
Yes, I'd just like to announce that when it comes to the public hearing on Prospect Square parking, that I'm going to request that be put off until an October council meeting.
All right, anybody else? Councilor Gilman.
Thank you. I'd like to remove the P&D minutes of September 8th, 2021.
All right, is there anybody else? All right, Councilor Gilman. So Councilor Pett, yours was just a point of information. Councilor Gilman, you want to touch on your request a little bit more, please?
Yes, thank you. So after the meeting, the next morning, Joanne Sinos and I spoke about the date that we had discussed for the public hearing and the next P&D meeting. And we needed to be consistent 65 days between when the city clerk approved the packet and when we open up the public hearing. So what we have done is we've marked on the top of the minutes just a notation. It's not included in the actual content of the minutes because we didn't want that to change, but that the next P&D meeting is scheduled for October 6th, 2021. So I just wanted to mention that. There's no changes to the minutes, so we can just add that back to the consent agenda and have that be part of the vote.
All right, so are you amending the consent agenda? Or is this information only?
No,
also?
I wanted to make sure that people knew about it, and I'm putting it back to the consent agenda.
All right, so no changes to the consent agenda, so I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as is.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Gilman, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
We
Roll
need-
call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call vote. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
Yes.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Gilman,
Yes,
Counselor Holmgren,
Yes.
and Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
The next order of business is the Budget and Finance Standing Committee report of September 9th.
I'll hand it over to our Vice Chairman, Counselor Memhard.
Thank you. I'd like to present a consent agenda for your consideration. If there are any matters that you'd like to pull off of it, please let us know. Otherwise, I would move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
All right, anybody would move anything? All right, does somebody want to
Second.
move? Somebody want to move it?
Moved.
I'll just highlight, especially since Bob is here, the matters that we reviewed included a purchase of 2022 Chevrolet vehicles for the fire department, totaling $120,000. And the matter of the harbor master's new patrol boat has been postponed till a further meeting. And the only other matters before us were acceptance of several grants for the Welcoming Center and from Elder Affairs.
So do we have a move in a second? I heard John say he'll move it. If somebody want to second it?
Second.
All right, motion's been moved by Counselor McCarthy, seconded by Counselor Nolan. Thank you for the overview, Counselor Memhard. Are there any counselor questions referring to the consent agenda? Or the fire truck or the harbor master's boat or anything? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes, thank you.
Counselor Nolan,
Absolutely.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Gilman,
yes,
Counselor Holmgren,
Yes.
and Counselor LeBlanc. Yes. Motion to accept the unanimous consent agenda, budget and finance consent agenda, passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 absent. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
The O&A committee did not meet due to the holiday on September 6th. The next item would be the Planning and Development Standing Committee report of September 8th.
All right, Counselor Gilman.
thank you. There are no items under this heading. However, I did want to mention to all counselors that we are going to be having 2 site visits for the special council permit on number 65 through 73 Essex Ave. It's a special council permit for a marijuana establishment and also an exemption to the lowland permit. So what I wanted to do is just mention this to counselors, and then I will send a special email out so you can sign up for one of those 2 sessions. One is at 5, one is at 5:45. We're meeting at the Dunkin' Donuts. And it should only take about a half an hour, but we felt where it was because of a lowland permit and matters regarding a marijuana establishment, it would be important to have a site visit. And we just want to invite counselors to sign up. And we've invited the abutters. And then if we don't exceed 15 people on either one of those sessions, we will allow members of the public, but everyone is being asked to sign up so we can make sure that we don't have uncontrollably huge crowds. And we are going to require masks for people just out of being safe. So anyway, I don't know if Councilors Pat or Holgram have anything to add, but they were part of the meeting when we discussed this. And that's it. Thank you.
What's the date, Val?
It is Wednesday, September 29th. 1 session's at 5, 1 at 5:45. Call me or email me and tell me which one you'd like to attend.
All right, Val, thank you. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Next order of business is the scheduled public hearing 2021-026 to amend Gloucester Code of Ordinance, Chapter 22, Section 22-270, parking prohibited at all times, and Section 22-291, tollway zones regarding Prospect Square.
All right, and as Counselor Pett had said earlier, we are going to continue this, so I will open the public hearing and continue this till October 12th. That'll give it a few weeks. And we'll gather a little bit more information on this, and we'll have the public hearing on October 12th. With that being said, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Next order of business is the unfinished business for discussion only. The city's council discussion regarding resuming in-person meetings continued from August 24th meeting.
All right. So we'll open up the discussion. I know we're all itching to get back into the council chamber. And with that being said, at the last meeting we had, I said we're probably not going to go live again. I think this Zoom's working very efficiently for our council meetings, but that's just me. I open this up to all of us, as I said at our last meeting. I was speaking with our general counsel. I mean, I have the authority to go live again, but I respect, we are a council, we are one, and that's the way I've been treating this. And I want everybody's input before we do anything, and I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable moving forward. But as I said in the last meeting, we're probably going to be Zooming till the end of the year, but I'd like to hear from other people if they have anything else they'd like to add to that. Councilor Nolan?
I think at this time, even more so from last month, well, last meeting, mask mandates are becoming more and more important to our society. There's still a chance for a large population to be sick. The IT director, Ryan Knowles, had said that the City Hall auditorium is not fit for what we can do for the technology for Zoom and or hybrid meetings at this point. And in my opinion, with the public safety, my own safety, and my fellow counselors, that I think that we should continue to Zoom as long as we can until we can give it a fair assessment and input to our public where they can join in the meetings and we can communicate with them cooperatively as well.
I agree, Sean. Councilor O'Hara?
Yes, I want to support Councilor Nolan's comments. I think with the new variants that are present, and unfortunately, there's probably others that are going to be showing up, that I don't think it's safe for the public or us to be interacting. So I support continuing with the Zoom. Thank you.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes, I'm 100% behind Sean and Jamie, and I'm going to carry it a little bit further, and I can wait till the mayor's request, but we have other meetings that are going on that are being live and not being Zoomed, and I really think this puts the public at a disadvantage. People with compromised immune systems, they can't attend these meetings. I know there was one I wanted to attend last week, which was the Waterways meeting, and I talked to Tony Gross and I said, you know, we had Ryan on our city council 2 weeks ago, and he told us that the conference room at the Harbor Master had the ability to be hybrid. So I guess I'll wait till we finish the meeting, but that's one thing I'm going to ask, that all these meetings that are being held live be hybrid so that all the public can attend these.
Yep, I agree, John. Scott, Council Memard?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Just following up on our conversation last week or 2 weeks ago with Ryan, which was a very helpful, discussion and overview. But we had submitted requests, I believe, on behalf of the council to the administration for at least moving us ahead in the planning phase of what we need to do and how we're going to pay for it in terms of upgrades to the technology so that we can, in fact, conduct hybrid Zoom and in-person meetings from City Hall in the council chambers. And I'm not aware of having received any update or information regarding that request.
All right, thank you, Scott. Anybody else? Council Gilman?
Yeah, I support what Councilor Memhard just said. We did also ask to check out what it would take to make Kairos at least set it up as hybrid, and that we would be reaching out to administration. I just think it's we need to keep the momentum. Our constituents have clearly said that they're really interested in keeping our meetings as a Zoom option. And to slow that down right now because of this new variant, I don't think is the right thing to do. I think we should keep pursuing it, but make sure that we're clear on what our personal decision is as a council, which Council LeBlanc has noted. I just want to make sure that we keep the momentum from a transparency standpoint and from a flexibility. And, you know, I've even heard members of administration say that they would like to keep this. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Council Holmgren.
I agree with everything that's been said. I was optimistic that we could return to in-person meetings, but I think this is working just as well for everybody.
Mhm.
And that's all. Thank you.
And Councilor Pat.
Yeah, again, just agreeing with what the rest of the council has said. I think it's important at this time to continue, in our case, you know, the Zoom meetings. And if other parts of the city business are, you know, at best, they should be hybrid versus just in person. I don't think it's safe. And again, I think we all have asked, and I'm sure the administration is working on coming up with hopefully a solution for the future to be able to keep all types of these public meetings available on basically on a hybrid basis, even when we're able to get back into, you know, public spaces. And hopefully we'll be able to find the funds to go ahead and update the technology to be able to do so. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else before we wrap up this discussion? All right. Like I said, I agree with everybody. And as I stated before we open this discussion up, we're probably not going to go in live the rest of the year. So not only that, is I think we get more of a turnout. We have a very light agenda this evening, so we only have 2 attendees. But usually, I mean, we've had up to 80 attendees during some of these meetings, and I think it's great for people to be able to jump on, do their housework, hang out with their kids for a little bit, and then as we announce things, that they're able to jump on the meeting and interact with us while they're still at home, rather than, I mean, just imagine being up. Today's a very humid day, so imagine being up in the auditorium, especially with those fans blowing around and everybody sitting there with masks or no masks or whatever you want to, however you want to put it. It's a little bit scary at this point. So unless something changes, we'll put this back out. Joanne, want to put this on a November meeting just so we can have another discussion? It's not going to hurt to have one more discussion to see how things go. At least we'll keep the door open and get the temperature of the water every month or every couple months, and hopefully the next council continues this and keeps this on the agenda.
So you want to put it on for the first meeting in November?
Yeah. I don't see anything changing in October, so there's no sense in putting it in October.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so can we have the next order of business, please?
Next order of business is council request to the mayor.
All right, so I will go with roll call tonight, and it'll be Council McCarthy.
Yes, I'd like to request, I've heard from different committees that they're being told to meet in person. The capability to hybrid is in some of the city buildings, according to the dissertation given to us by Brian Knowles, the IT person. So I'd like to request that the mayor, if she's going to order these meetings to be held live, that they be hybrid or Zoom, because I believe that people that are compromised immune systems are being left out of these meetings and not able to attend. So I don't think it's fair to the public, and I invite any councilor to join on with me with this request.
All right. I think we all should probably jump on that request, John.
Yep.
All right, Councilor Memhard.
I have nothing to request or to add today. Thank you all.
All right, and if you'd like to jump on John's request,
I would.
okay, announce that so that way Joanne can get everybody's names down.
Yes, please.
Councilor Nolan.
I have no request. I do have a thank you for the Department of Public Works for the work on Condon Road this week. The installation of a sign on Hesperus Avenue for the Magnolia businesses, which has been thriving and working well down there. And the sign just, brings it back. It was a sign that was there from 30 years ago that a neighbor decided to restore and put back up. And I think it's really nice to see it happen, especially since it was donated and also on their property to direct traffic towards the Magnolia community and their businesses. The work on Concord Street is coming along wonderfully, and things are where they are. And yes, John, I will sign on that with you as well.
Thank you, Sean. Councilor O'Hara.
Yes, I too would like to support Councilor McCarthy's request to the mayor. I also like to have the mayor, I've put forward in the past, making city transactions, no cash transactions. That's happening at the Patriots Stadium with the virus. I think changing from a cash to credit cards would be the way to go. Credit card is the most efficient way to make a transaction today. It's documented. Cash is a very expensive transaction. So I asked the mayor to implement that. I know under CAO Justino that he was going to implement that. And unfortunately, I'm sure that he got tied up in other things, but I think it's something that we need to look at. Also on October 3rd, the farmers market on Lexington Ave, but there'll also be a blood drive. Dana Farber will be present from 8:30 to 2:30. So anyone can look at my Facebook page to get information to make an appointment. They also will be accepting walk-ins 8:30 to 2:30 on Sunday, October 3rd. Thank you.
All right, Jamie, thank you. Councilor, just so everybody knows, when we're in session, the vice president and the president usually go last, so I'm going to skip over Val, just so everybody knows, this is how we do things. I'm sorry, Councilor Pat.
Okay, I didn't know if I was getting promoted here somehow. Anyway, I would like to sign on to what Councilor McCarthy has said. Also, I wanted to ask the administration again, I'd like to be able to sit down and have a discussion about moving forward some traffic studies, number one, throughout Ward 2 and some of the areas that border on Ward 2 from Ward 1 and Ward 3, and also Route 128, and also over in Ward 3, the Kent Circle area. I'd like to request that we move forward with those. And then that's my request as a council. I'd like to put on another hat as from the fireworks side of the house. And I wanted to give a big shout out and a thank you to the city departments, the police department, the fire department, and especially the DPW for all the work they did this year in supporting our two fireworks displays. It's a lot of work, and the DPW went out of their way to do preparations up in Stage Fort Park for us, and also they always, after all these public events, they do cleanup, and they don't seem to get the thank you. So I want to thank them for that. And while we have the assistant chief on, I wanted to thank Lieutenant Sayas from the fire department for helping get my suggestion to be able to get the Parrott rifle cannon fired out at Stage Fort Park at the Schooner Festival. We were able to work it out so everybody could do things, and I wanted to thank everyone for their support on that side this year.
Awesome. Thank you, Barry. Councilor Holmgren.
Thank you. I would like to sign on my support of Councilor McCarthy's request. And I also just wanted to say today it was determined that 1 in 500 Americans has now died of COVID. And just to put a point on that, I looked up the statistics for fatal motor vehicle crashes, and there are 11 deaths per 100,000. So COVID is a huge and real threat. Please get vaccinated. Please wear your mask. Please be very, very careful. We want you here. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nurse Holmgren. Councilor Gilman.
I'd like to sign on with Councilor McCarthy. And I also wanted to share my kudos to the clerk's office and for all their hard work in yesterday's preliminary mayoral election. You continuously all work together. You're juggling. There's so much that goes on in that office. And from what I could see yesterday, it was a true job well done. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Val. I too want to recognize the clerk's office for a job well done. I went down to the high school to vote yesterday. There was a lot of new faces there working the polling stations. So I went around, I thanked everybody, which was nice to see people stepping up and, you know, participating in a little bit of civic duty, regardless of what it is. It's nice to have these volunteers. I don't have any requests to the mayor, but I do want to touch on something. So there was an email published yesterday on social media between myself and Councilor Cox. And I just want to touch on that real quick. You know, social media is going to be the destruction of humanity at some point, because people read into things, they insinuate certain things or whatever. You know, I've had arguments, disagreements with Councilor Cox. I've had them with Councilor Gilman. I've had them with Councilor O'Hara. You know, I mean, disagreements and arguments are healthy in a relationship. I've been in a relationship with Melissa for 10 years on the city council. You know, so what people are reading into this, it was a silly little thing that shouldn't even be an issue. It wasn't an issue to myself, and I was part of the email. I'm sure it wasn't an issue with Councilor Cox. We worked tirelessly over the past 10 years, and we continue to work with each other. Some of us may not get along outside of council, but I'm going to tell you and be honest with everybody right now. I know there's not a lot of people in attendance this evening, but whoever wants to watch this meeting, and especially for us councilors, there's not one of us that doesn't do our job when we come up here and we're sitting at the council table and we're debating and we're doing everything else. So I just want to recognize Councilor Cox, her tireless work over the past 10 years. And I'm even going to say that she probably is one of the best counselors, if not the best counselor that I've ever worked with on the council. And I've been here 10 years. I can't go back past 10 years because I haven't had that recognition or those circumstances to work with other counselors. But, you know, whatever was said on that email between me and Melissa is a non-issue. And I just want to put that out there, that Melissa comes up to this job. All of us come up to this job and we take it very seriously, and we do it 100% all of the time. So, and like I said, arguing and disagreements and, you know, up at the council level, we call it debating, but guess what? You're arguing with each other, or however you want to put it. So I'm going to put that out there. It's a non-issue to me. I know it's a non-issue to Melissa. Stay off social media and figure things out on your own, people, instead of reading into everybody else's insinuations. So with that being said, does anybody else like to touch on anything before we close the meeting? And also, I'd like to join on John's request to the mayor also. All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by everybody and it's been seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Roll call vote, Councilor McCarthy,
Yes, good night, everybody.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes, good night. Thank you.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes, good night and have a great night, everybody.
Councilor Pett,
Yes, thank you and be safe.
Councilor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilor Holmgren,
Yes, good night and thank you.
And myself, Counselor LeBlanc, yes. All right, everybody have a good night. We are adjourned.